you could look it in the eye. If it had a body, you could shoot it. Everything you know about terror is about to go down the drain. The Blob, Terror Has No Shape, rated R.
Starts Friday at a theater near you.
You could reason with it. If it had a face, you could look it in the eye. If it had a body, you could shoot it. Now, man is no longer the supreme being. The Blob, Terror Has No Shape, rated R.
Starts Friday at a theater near you.
And actor Kevin Dillon's the one trying to chase the massive blob away.
In 1958, audiences were introduced to one of the most ominous and malevolent forces ever to grace a movie screen. The Blob was an amorphous, ever-expanding, lethal pile of goo which sent theatergoers shrieking into the night. And for those of you who may have missed out on all the fun the first time round, not to worry. The new improved Blob will be coming to your town starting next week when the remake of the original is released.
The thing on that man's hand killed him, and then it killed Paul. And whatever it is, it's getting bigger.
Sticking pretty close to its predecessor, this updated version stars newcomer Shawnee Smith and Kevin Dillon taking the role that made Steve McQueen a star.
The character is really a great character. He's kind of cocky, wise guy, and he's a real wild character, so I could really sink my teeth into this part.
Although the finished film may scare audiences right out of their seats, for the actors, playing opposite a blob that wasn't even on a set required lots of imagination.
It's really hard to get the fear element, but, you know, you just got to really pump yourself up, and you got to think it's the blob, and you have to see the blob when you look at that tape.
However, they accomplish it. The finished product apparently works. And that may be good news for horror movie buffs, because just like fans in the 50s, fans today love to get scared, too.
She's dead. She's gone. It's over
hopeless.
for her. Boy.
That's
See
disgusting.
that Blob. I remember that was one of my all-time favorite films. I loved it.
You were just a little kid when you saw it, then, weren't you?
Barely.
Just barely old enough to be scared.
However, the original Blob, unfortunately, didn't make the list of all-time favorite movies of Hollywood stars that we talked to recently.
They got all the bells and whistles to help turn the films into big attractions.
And in one case, there's even an effect you might say filmmakers had to stomach themselves.
How sweet, fresh meat.
If spectacular sights, incredible sounds, and the sensation of being part of the movie is what you're all about, then this summer's special effects-filled films are the stuff your dreams are made of.
You shouldn't have buried me. I'm not dead.
Elm Street's favorite resident is back, and thanks to the special effects work of Dream Quest Images, Freddy Krueger is able to bring along some of his victims.
They really go all out here, like they did in 3, but I think they do a lot more with their characters, a lot more with the performance of the actors than with the technical aspects of the shots.
But the visual effects come through nevertheless, like in this scene where it looks as though the actor is surrounded by a junkyard full of cars, but when the scene was filmed, neither the cars nor the junkyard existed.
We photographed him looking up into the camera, screaming, acting, performing, doing what he needed to do. Around him, we placed shadows as though there were really cars around him. Later on, we took that plate, we brought it here into our studio and projected it into the center of this model.
But not all of their effects are meant to scare you. In the comedy Big Business, Bette Midler and Lily Tomlin interacted with their twin counterparts, and a technique more advanced than the usual technology was required to pull it off.
This is the actual element that we used The two ladies are on blue screen. They have no frame of reference other than the marks that I tell them they have to hit. I tell them where the other two, Bet and Lily, will be, and they have to avoid them. That was one set, and then this is the other. And you'll note they're carefully avoiding an area right here, which is where I said they need to avoid. The final composite shows that they all look like they're exactly where they should be.
Another company which specializes in the effects aspect of the movies is the Boss Film Corporation, which did the special effects on Die Hard, in which they built a miniature model of the Fox Plaza office complex and the helicopter that is attempting to shoot Bruce Willis off the top of that building.
We built the Fox Plaza in miniature in several different scales. There was certain parts of the miniature that had to be built in scale to a radio-controlled miniature because one of the shots shows a helicopter coming out of a fireball right towards camera, and then the helicopter itself then blowing up as a secondary explosion. That's probably one of the best shots we've ever done, really.
But is there any limit to this special craft?
I don't think there are any limits. It's just like there's no limits in what kind of movies you're going to make. So as long as people keep thinking of different concepts and different stories and situations, then there doesn't seem to be any limit to what you can do with effects.
And here I thought Bruce Willis really jumped off a building.
You couldn't sit still through that, could you?
No, I couldn't at all.
But as the new James Bond in The Living Daylights, fans of the series wondered how he'd stack up. Dalton did something right. The movie was one of the most successful Bond films yet, and now he's back in the latest installment of the spy saga. We have the behind-the-scenes scoop on the new movie. It's been 1 year since Timothy Dalton dropped in as Agent 007. This time, he's landed at a friend's wedding for the opening sequence of License Revoked. This latest Bond film is being shot on location in the Florida Keys and in Mexico. Entertainment Tonight went to Churubusco Studios in Mexico City, where License Revoked has been in production.
595, take one.
In License Revoked, Dalton goes undercover and underwater as part of a personal mission to avenge the death of an old friend.
He goes and does what he believes is right. He avenges the murder of his friend's wife and the mutilation of his friend. But because it's personal, he perhaps loses a certain sense of cold professional objectivity. It becomes an embarrassment to both the Americans and the British, and they try to stop him, which is why it is entitled License Revoked.
But Bond cannot be stopped. An American model-turned-actress Carrie Lowell plays his accomplice, Pam Bouvier. Not just another pretty face, Bouvier is a former Army pilot with her own CIA contacts.
My character is somebody who actually helps Bond to go about his business. Instead of being a detriment to him, it's actually his aid. And there's a bit of tension in that, too, because Bond doesn't really think he needs anybody. But in this case, he does.
Robert Davi plays lead villain Franz Sanchez, a powerful Latin American drug lord. Villain number 2, played by Anthony Zerbe, becomes the central character in a horrific special effects death scene. But before leaving the set of License Revoked, Entertainment Tonight wanted to know more about the man behind this secret agent. Does Timothy Dalton have any secret passions of his own?
Well, I'd love to be able to sing well, and I'd love to go out into space.
License Revoked will wrap production in November, and we can look for it in theaters next summer.